Hello Multiverse, welcome to Omniverse Gamers. My name is Damien Vizayo. This video is going to dissect another dynamic encounter. We're going to call this one KoboGnoll's of Ruin. Now this encounter is from the Pirates of the Ashen Sea. This is a couple sessions after KoboGnolls at Sea. You may have seen that one. So there's this book called Fire Upon the Deep from Vernor Vinge, and in it there's these creatures that are like, they're like these dog creatures, but they are this collective entity. So like 5 creatures would be one mind. So like the 2 dogs are like its arms, and the other dog is like it's looking, and the other 2 are like defensive. Basically, all the creatures, it's all one creature, but they have separate parts. These separate dogs, these pack creatures basically become this. There's just one mind for each of them. So I thought it'd be cool to make a monster based on that. And as you can see, if you watched KoboGnolls at Sea, that was the first time I used these guys. And the party had been going towards, they had found a new island. In the interim, they've gone back to this island. They met this entity that called itself Salvation, and it's basically an old giant god. And it's kind of broken into pieces because parts of it have broken away from itself. And it calls itself Salvation, but it's clearly got it's not, the motives of this thing are not so good. It's trying to mentally dominate them. They find out eventually through other means, it's a god that has been split into 4 parts. Parts of it have gone away, and they call themselves Harm, Ruin, and Loss. So there's these 3 entities flying around like somewhere within the island, because there's a certain range, and they know that they're trying to fight against this the main entity, Salvation. But Salvation is trying to get the party to go help him bring the other entities back to himself, to bring himself back to glory, and then he'll help them, basically. Yeah. They insight check him, and he's got other things going on. They don't know what, because he's this evil entity. It's hard to really track what he wants. But anyway, so they decide to go back to this place where the certain ones are pretty brutal, and they know the other ones, so they're going to try to go around the other side of the island to see what they can find, basically. They just happen to be sailing kind of near the islands, and they see up ahead, they see they see this orc pirate boat. They have there's other pirates that they've been kind of competing with to get these plates and stuff. And they've dealt with these orcs before, they fought them, but now they see their ship, and their ship's kind of like sitting weirdly in the ocean, and they don't want to be seen by the orcs. They try to stay secret, because in the Ashen Sea there's just ash everywhere. It kind of makes everything's kind of foggy, like dark ash, so you can only see out so far. So when they see the mass at the end, they kind of veer away, and they go away, and they're like, we don't want to, But as they come back around, the ship's always moving in a circle around the volcano, around the island chain, around the archipelago. So as they come back around again the next time, a couple days later, that boat's still there. They're like, well, that's weird. They wouldn't, the orcs. This boat never stops moving for various reasons. But the orc boat does stop. They would never stop for that many days in one spot. That's just really strange. And the boat it looks like it's adrift. So they mount up a party. That's our session for today. They're going to mount up a party, go check this boat out. Because they know the orcs have been taking plates too. So if the orcs are adrift and whatever, they can go take their plates, big haul, So they go and explore the ship, and the ship is just adrift, and there's blood, and there's carnage. They can tell really quickly that these KoboGnoll things have come and just torn these people apart. It was a battle. There was a massive battle, and all the plates are gone. And then as they're doing that, they find one survivor who's kind of mangled. He's lost his leg, but he can give them a little bit. Those things came and they destroyed us, and I think they named him IHOP. There's an orc named IHOP on the ship now. They kind of recruited. He had nowhere else to go, so he just kind of he's one-legged, so they call him IHOP. Whatever, it's funny. But anyway, he kind of talks. He tells them what happened from his perspective. He's just a regular crewman. He doesn't really know the whole thing. They came, they killed us all, they slaughtered us, they took all our plates, and they ran to the north, basically. So they look north, and they see another boat kind of like listed, like the mast is kind of listed like this. It's kind of sitting, and they're like, that's maybe we'll check that boat out too. We'll see what's in there. We'll see what. So they go, and they're gonna go make landfall after this boat. They got a bunch of. They took all the rowboats from the orc boat. All the rowboats were there, which is good because they crushed the rowboat a while ago. They lost the boat, so now they got a boat back anyway. So they're going to go approach this beach. There's only 3 of them today, because there was supposed to be like 5 of us, but sometimes, things happen, so we ended up only having 3 players today. But they're like, nah, we'll go. We'll do what we can do. We're 5th level now. We'll go for it. So I had planned a really rough encounter for them. So what I did, so the couple maps I used on this. So first map I used is this beach map. You see, it's really cool. It's just a nice, Gimme Pig made this beach map. Check their Patreon out down below. They have a lot of cool maps. They were really gracious to let me use this on the film. I just thought this map, I like the coloring. I like the way that goes into the thing. I just like the way I like the setup of this map. So basically what I did is I stretched it this way. And then I had another map from Printable RPG. Let me show you this map here. It's just this boat in the river. So in my mind, I wanted this boat to be in this same river of this other map. So I just took this map and stretched it really wide so that I could put this boat in it, and I just kind of angled it and stuck this map inside of that map, basically. That's just the map that I was going for, basically. So let me go over to my side view, and I'll show you what they're seeing and how this Now this encounter went down. So as you can see, they make landfall. There's the water kind of, it's not perfect. The water's there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a D&D game. So they're kind of chilling. And my goal was to let them get as far north as possible and then ambush them, because there's a whole bunch of KoboGnoll Tines just hanging around, waiting for them. And I wanted them to get as north as I could before just surrounding them and destroying them. But our ranger, he's a ranger. Islands are his preferred terrain, so he made a 20, I think it was 25 on his perception checks. He knew there was people hanging out on this little by the boat here. So there's these creatures, these KoboGnoll Tines. So what I did with these Tines is I made them so that they are one creature. Or a couple creatures, but as many as I want to put them into one creature. These Tine KoboGnoll creatures are pack creatures. I have 5 different actual dogs, but they are all one person, and they work together, basically. They work as one unit. So I can send 2 units of 7, I can send 5 units of 5. I can field 30 guys on the field and only actually have to control 3 creatures logistically. And that was the point of these creatures. And it works out really good. So basically what I gave these Tine kobolds, their armor class is equal to 10 plus the number in the pack. So a pack of 5 as it has 15 armor class. And as they take out the individual members, the armor class will drop. Same thing with their, each individual pack member has 30 hit points. So as they take them out, they weaken the pack significantly. They can swim, they can climb really well. They have what's called pack response. And they can take the damage of another person on the pack. So if I have 5 of them and you attack this one who's only at 2 hit points, I can actually take the other guy and put him in front. He can take that hit. So I can it's a way for me to mitigate them killing out one of my guys. They can still kill them one-on-one, but I can as a reaction, the other guys can take it. So eventually they can weaken them all and eventually take them, but it's just a way, it's a defensive tactic for me, basically. And these creatures also have what's called pack attack. Not pack tactic, this is pack attack. The entire pack, all as one unit, has a number of attacks equal to 1 plus the number in the pack. So a pack of 5 has 6 attacks. They don't have to individually attack. Just this whole pack together has 6 attacks. So it could all come from the one guy in the front. They can be in front in a line, and just because there's 5 of them, that front guy gets 6 attacks. So that's a way for me to spread them out, and it doesn't matter where I am. I can attack them as a full unit. They don't have to stay together. They have to stay within. These creatures have to stay within maybe 30 feet of each other, or they start to lose their mental, whatever. But as long as they're close enough, they are one big unit that just kind of attacks a lot. So and the reason for this is if I had pack tactics, I would have to roll advantage a bunch of times. So I have to sit there and roll advantage again and again and again, or have 2 different colored dice for each person as I roll a bunch of advantage, which just kind of sucks. So this pack attack is a way for me to just throw down 7 attacks, resolve it, done. This so I can field with these creatures. You can feel. I literally fought last time. They fought 21 of them, and I only had to run 3 creatures. This time they're gonna fight a lot more of them, but I'm only running like 5 creatures, and it just makes it really simple. And they have basic claw attacks, and they have these little. They make throwing stars out of it. As their claws mature, they break off, and they make little throwing stars out of them. So they have some range. They have a 30/90 range, and they only have a +5 attack. But if you're wounded, they get a +6 attack, which isn't a lot in my world, because my people have a lot of armor class, but just the sheer number of attacks that I get, it makes it pretty balanced. And you can always adjust the numbers up and down for your party, but this is my party, basically +5, +6s if you're wounded. It makes it work pretty good. So they see this green pack right here, and they start, obviously they start fighting it, they start attacking it. They don't get very far before they start to hear other, they start to hear the dogs and the yipping and the barking, and they get a couple of these down. They hear another group coming from the east. This other group's coming down the beach. Now, in my mind, I was supposed to get them north and have all these guys surrounding them already, but because they made the perception check, they see these guys way ahead of time. So I'm coming at them. The artificer gets a bunch of shots at them as they're running, and they start to close in. The party starts to get in the water because they're throwing these little things at them, and the water gives them partial cover. So the red things come in. Now another group comes from the north, and they jump in the water, and they're coming at them. One of them gets to see that there's a clump of them up in the boat here, kind of protecting something, some kind of glowing thing. They're protecting it. They don't know what it is. They just know, obviously, there's something up there, but they're getting attacked, and they're in the water. And as you can see, they've already killed 5. Now there's 10 more bearing down on them. There's still at least 6 in the boat. So this is 3 5th level characters fighting all these things. They're just like, oh my god, this is rough. So they just keep fighting. They do their best. They get surrounded again. They kill a bunch of more of them. They're really powerful. They kill more. More come in. So our artificer has this little wall thing that he can shoot up. So he's got the wall right at the top of the water. So he can kind of go underwater, come up behind his little wall. It's got a magical wall he can shoot things through. So as he shoots things through the wall, they get enhanced. He gets a +1 if they shoot forward. So he's kind of bobbing for cover, coming back up, shooting. It's working out pretty good. Another group comes down from the north. So now they're up to 20 7 guys that they're fighting that they have fielded here against 3, 27 against 3, and they're doing okay. They fight. Eventually, though, I mean, they have range attacks, but I mean, 27 guys are gonna close in eventually. So they get to the point where they're all in close range, and now finally the yellow group moved. The yellow group is like, okay, we got to do something. We're getting slaughtered by these 3 guys. So the yellow group starts to move, and they come down and attack the ranger, who thinks he's safe in the middle, and now he's surrounded by 6 dudes, and he's just like, oh my god, it's this crazy battle in the water, and it's just insane. And he's a crossbow expert, so he's close range crossbow fighting as they're just biting him and grabbing him and ripping him. And they realize that one of them's got this necklace on that's like a glowing gem on the center of his chest, and they obviously know there's some significance there. They don't know what it is. They just keep fighting. They eventually they take him down and they grab this gem. But they realize that this gem is it's basically an extension. So because when they first fought the KoboGnoll in the of the harm KoboGnolls, and when they got ambushed and they took the plates and they got away in the big chase scene. Eventually the KoboGnolls like kind of backed away, and they didn't chase them anymore because they reached the limit of their mental. The entity that controls them can only go so far. It can only reach so far. But this entity, Ruin, it's called Ruin because they find all these dead. They find all this boat graveyard later, so they kind of piece together that this thing's name is Ruin because they got to find Ruin, harm, and loss. And they find Ruin. They realize that this gem is helping Ruin extend his power. So they use this gem on a raft. They pushed it out to the water, and they ambushed this boat as it came by. They were way beyond what they should have been doing. That's how they ambushed the orc boat, because these guys, the entities want the plates too. Now they want the squares and the octagons, because the squares and the octagons are a code. If they do all the holes, and they kind of like a braille, if they put it up against, if they do all the code and they do it right, it's this code that gives the the secret of what's happening in the Ashen Sea, which this entity wants to know, because Salvation was one of the original victims. When the Ashen Sea was formed by the tragedy that happened, the giants gods were affected directly. The land of the giants and the land of the Lachey, the ancient elves, kind of got melded together with these dragon creatures that this planet-eating dragon is now planted in the center and feeding off this broken world. So Salvation, Ruin, and Harm, and Loss are all trying to figure that out. They don't know. They just know something happened and they got shattered. They're trying to get their power back, and there's clues to that and whatnot. So anyway, so they're trying to get these plates too, because that's why they're after the plates. So they have this mind gem now. They realize, oh, this is an extension. What are we gonna? But these creatures, the entities, can also take over your mind. They try to take your mind. So the gems, they have to make will save throws, or wisdom save throws. Sorry, will save, 3rd edition. They make wisdom saves, and they all manage to stop. They protect themselves from it, but they know, oh man, this thing can take over anybody on the boat. If we take this to the boat, we can't leave it here. It's going to be too powerful. He'll get it back. But if we take it to the boat, one, we're extending his power to our boat. Now more KoboGnolls can come and take us because they know right where we are. Plus, they can take over people on our boat. So what they decide to do is they take the gem and they put it in their bag of holding, assuming that it's in another plane of existence. Ruin won't be able to know where their boat is because all he knows is that they're in the bag of holding. Which, not a bad idea, the way astral plane works. That's a little contained little pocket dimension. But I mean, Ruin does still have a connection to it. So we'll see in the future when they go to try to get something out of that bag of holding. We'll see how that goes. That's gonna be a fun surprise when they try to figure out how that works. So as you can see, this was a really crazy quick encounter. This was 3 5th level characters versus 20, 28, 29. I'll put a graphic up. I'll actually do a count, put a graphic up of how many they actually killed. It was a lot, and it was crazy. And they were just like, whoa! But they love fighting these things. It's really tactical because they start out really powerful. A pack of 6 has a 16 armor class, but as you hit them, it weakens them, and they get less attacks and they get less hit points as you fight them. So it's a really fun, it's a very cool monster to run because players have agency over how the tactics, how they weaken this one or they fight this one, and you as a DM, you're running. Like I said, I'm running 30 guys, but I'm really only rolling for 5 people. It's a really quick monster to run. It's modular. It can be bigger or smaller, whatever your needs are. You can throw as many. You can throw 80. You can throw 4 things of 10 at foreshadowing. So yeah, it's just a really fun encounter. It added to the exposition. They kind of learned a little bit more about Ruin. They found another boat graveyard in the north of this, and that was like a lot more time. KoboGnolls were there. They was like, oh, we better get out of here. Well, we better take our win while we got it. And they backed up to their ship, but now they know Ruin is somewhere in here in this area. So when they come back here, a little bit more powerful. They have a little bit more information on Ruin. They could maybe deal with Ruin because they're trying to. Salvation wants them to bring Ruin, Harm, and Loss back to him. They think they can get ruin, harm, and loss to kill salvation. Who knows how that's going to work out? There's a lot of different dynamics going on in this game. This encounter was just really cool. Like I said, I wanted to ambush them. They were perceptive, so it kind of ruined my idea, but there was only 3 of them when there's supposed to be 5. So their tiny advantage of seeing the ambush first worked out because it's 3 versus 30. Yeah, So I hope you liked that encounter. We are Omniverse Gamers. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. I hope to see you soon, and keep on gaming.